evening from Vietnam. Good morning to you, Jen. Thanks a lot for spending your morning to join our Insight Sharing and share your stories to our global audience. And on behalf of the listeners around the world, we want to say thank you.
No, thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be here.
So the last time that your last trip to Asia, you hadn't got a chance to come to our beautiful country. So hopefully that it will happen one day soon. Now you have a new friend, new family, and a new community in here waiting for you. Okay.
Perfect. I'm ready for the trip. I'll pack my bags.
And Jen, for a little taste of our culture, it's very honor for our audience to have you share a little bit about who you are and the work you do. Would you please do that first?
Yeah, so my name is Jenn Drummond. I am a Guinness World Record holder. I'm the first woman to climb the second highest peak on each of the 7 continents. It actually took me 9 mountains, not 7, because there's a dispute on what's a continent, but that's another story. I'm a mom of 7. I'm a business owner, and right now I spend most of my time speaking on stages and helping individuals navigate their personal mountains.
Wow, Jen, I count the clock in here. You introduce your amazing journey and amazing life story in less than 50 seconds. That is not fair for our audience, okay? And this conversation is designed for them to learn about your life, the strength, the resilience, the motivation, the inspiration that you have from yourself, that you conquered the world and break the record, right? So let's travel time together with me. Is that okay with you?
Let's do it.
All right. So when I was little, Jen, I live in a very poor community in Vietnam, and in my neighborhood back then, we had one day we had electricity, and then the next day or two we didn't have electricity. So my only entertainment at night is when the moon rise up, right? So we see things pretty clear, and my first dream about the future works that I would do is to become an astronaut and fly to the moon and see how bright it is up there. But life did not give me any opportunity to do the works that I love doing, except that I've been interviewing a lot of astronauts, and one of them was the youngest man ever who walked on the moon on Apollo mission 16. So for you, when you were little, what was your dream about the future things that Jen is going to do in this world? Huh?
Yeah. So when I was young, I thought I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to help people feel good. And I just felt bad when people couldn't walk well or they were like struggling. And so I was originally thinking that someday I'll be a doctor. I come from a big family. Actually, I have a brother and a sister, but I have 65 first cousins. So I grew up in a town where everybody knew you, everybody like supported you. I was very loved and challenged and competitive with my family or whatever, and just had one of those great American childhoods. And then when I went to college, I realized I didn't really like cutting into people's bodies or seeing blood or different things like that. So being a doctor probably wasn't going to be the best option for who I was going to become. And I started leaning heavily into business. And I thought, you know what? Everybody works for money. So if I can help them manage their money or make good money decisions, then they'll have the freedom to do other things in their life that they want to do. So I went to college and got into asset management and helping people plan for retirement or sending kids to college or, you know, managing tax liabilities and things like that. And so it kind of changed, but it was always under the premise of how can I serve?
How can you serve, right? And tell our audience about the stories that, you know, successful entrepreneur you were and turning to become the Guinness record holder. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah. So when I got into finance, I had to cold call and build my book of business, which was a horrible experience because I had never been told no so many times in my life in such a short period of time. And at first it was really, really hard, but eventually I call it like rejection therapy. You just get used to it and you don't take it personal. And when you can separate yourself from taking that personal, you get to keep doing it. And that's where success happens, right? Like you have to be the person that just keeps going and going and going and not letting other people determine your future. And so for me, because I had that ability to keep going and going and going, I eventually became successful. Well, where I grew up, the dream was to become a stay-at-home mom. And so once I started getting successful in business, I wanted to have kids. And when I started having kids, I started to want to hire positions that I was doing to somebody else so I could be home with my children. So for me, it's always been like, what's my pain point and how do I solve that? Right? So because I had the kids at home, that helped me exit my company because I wanted to be with my kids more, and it forced me to delegate things that were really hard for me to delegate at first. I had the kids. I was like full on because I have 7 of them. I was super busy. But as they got to school full time, now I had time again. And I didn't quite know what to do with my time because I still wanted to be available. And I didn't understand like how I could contribute to work and be at home and have bandwidth for both. So my thought originally was once the kids get to college, then I'll get back into things that I can do and that I'm excited about. The universe had a different plan for me. And in 2018, I was in a horrific car crash. And that car crash should have killed me. Luckily for me, it didn't. And that just really became a line in the sand of life before the accident and life after the accident. Because I realized, like, we check out of this planet by ourselves. No one's saying, oh, Jen was a great mom, or she did PTA or coached soccer or built this amazing business. It was more, did Jen use the talents she was here to use? And did she share those with others? And so I like started to use that as a reflection of like, well, what am I doing with my life? What can I do that allows me to, help others and live this life to the best of my ability? And so in 2019, I started making a bucket list of all the things I wanted to see, do, and experience before my time was up. Because we don't know when we're going to die. But with every day that we have the ability to live it to the most, right? And so I started thinking of like, if I was to die in a year or 5 years or 10 years, what are things I want to do before my time is up on this planet? And one of those things was climb a mountain. And so in 2020, I'm like, I'm turning 40. I think I'm going to climb a mountain for my 40th birthday, because what a great way to launch a decade is to rise to meet it. And it's only going to get harder to climb a mountain as I get older. So I was training for a mountain named unforgettable. And then this thing called COVID entered the scene, right? We all remember 2020 and we all kind of got locked down and our worlds changed. Well, during COVID, I was homeschooling my kids because the schools were closed down here. And one of my little guys was struggling with his math homework. So I was giving him a parent pep talk. We do hard things. You've got this. And he goes, if we do hard things, why are you climbing a mountain called I'm a Dumb Blonde instead of a real mountain like Mount Everest? And at first I didn't catch it. I'm like, I'm a dumb blonde. No, honey. That mountain is called unforgettable, not I'm a dumb blonde. But thank you. Like, finish your homework. We'll look at Everest. And so he finished his homework. We looked at Everest. He went to bed. And I was still looking at Everest. And I thought, you know what? If this kid thinks Everest is the hardest mountain in the whole world, I'm going to climb it. And I'm going to show him whatever our Everest is, we're capable of summiting. So then I have to call a coach because I don't know how to climb Mount Everest. Like, when you don't know how to do something, the best thing you can do is hire somebody that's done it or that can help you do it. So I hire this coach, and this coach is like, yeah, you're an athlete. I can get you ready. Buy this book about becoming an uphill athlete. I'm like, okay. So I buy the book. It comes in the mail. And then in the front of the book is a story of a lady who got a Guinness World Record for doing something in the Alps. And I just remember talking to my coach saying, I could have done that. And if I got a Guinness World Record, I'd be the coolest mom in the whole world, because right now, homeschool version of me is not a cool mom. And I want to be a cool mom again. And this is really hard. And the coach took it as a challenge. I kind of took it as venting. And a few weeks later, he calls me back and he's like, Jen, I have the perfect world record for you. He's like, I think you should be the first woman to climb the 7-second summits. And at that point, I didn't even know what those were. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, the 7-second summits. It's the second highest point on each of the 7 continents. He goes, it's never been done by a woman before. It's only been done by one male. They're harder than the first 7. And he goes, if you think about it, 7 continents, 7 mountains, 7 children, it's a jackpot. I'm like, it is a jackpot, but I've never slept in a tent before. He's like, oh, don't worry. We can get those skills. You'll be fine.
Wow.
I know. Crazy.
And that was the idea, right? And the idea, from that idea, is too huge for anyone ever to just think about it. You not only thought about that idea, but you made it happen. Tell us more about that, please.
Okay, so here's what happens. When you have 7 children and you're going to climb 7 mountains and you come home to kind of talk to them about the idea to see what they think, and within a minute, they each claim a mountain, right? Like, I'm Australia, I'm Africa, I'm South America. Now, all of a sudden, you have accountability partners that are your children, right? So I can't not climb their mountain. That'd be a terrible mom, right? They got all excited about it. And all of a sudden their excitement became my excitement. And the fact that they picked a mountain, I kind of tied that mountain to them. And that gave me the courage and the strength and the endurance to make it happen.
Wow.
So if you're going to take on a big goal, like, why? Who's holding you accountable, and what meaning are you assigning to that goal that gives you the fuel to continue when it's hard?
Wow. And how long did it get you to prepare to starting the first one, though?
Yeah. So the first one I was training for was Ama de Blanc. And so I continued training for that. And the nice thing about it is like every mountain kind of builds your skills to help you with the next one. So I did harder mountains later, but they didn't feel so hard because I became better. And so we kind of met, right? Like, I didn't take on Everest first or K2 first. I built up some skills, learned areas that I wasn't strong, trained those areas so I became stronger, and then tested them in the mountains. And then as I summited mountains, my skill set got stronger and I could conquer more.
When you say that you redefine limits, and it seems like there's no limits for Jenn. So when you redefine limit, what is that doesn't mean for you, though?
Yeah, I think we all have a comfort zone. And if you're not stretching that comfort zone can get smaller and smaller. And I look back at COVID, and you think about when COVID left and people needed to socialize again, nobody was good at it, right? Because we hadn't done it in a while. So we got out of shape with it and it became hard. Where before COVID, that wasn't hard. That was just our everyday routine. And so for when you're taking on these big goals, you're constantly expanding and getting better to lean against that goal, which makes you bigger and the goal smaller, and eventually you get on the same playing field. So for me, if I'm not pushing against that comfort zone, I know it's pushing against me. And so I need to continuously expand that so that what I'm capable of doing gets bigger.
Wow. And because I'm a big fan to understand the nature and the nurture, how did it, which one is weighing more in your situation. So if you can look at the, look inside of you and have that answer. So which one is contributing more into Jenn?
Yeah. I think at sometimes nature is and sometimes nurture is. Like, I don't think one dominates at any time, but I'll give an example. So when I was in the car crash, like, I saw the car crash that I saw it was going to happen. And when I saw it starting to happen, it was almost like time dilated. And instead of the accident taking 15 seconds, the accident took like 15 hours, right? Like it was just so crazy how it was going so fast. It was going slow. And when I was hanging upside down in the median when the accident was done, and this individual came up to the car, was yelling, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" and pulled the windshield back. And we caught eyes. And when we caught eyes, I realized, okay, he's talking to me. He's asking me if I'm okay. His facial expression is telling me I must not be. I'm afraid to look at my body. What should I do? And so instead of taking his facial expression as my truth, and instead of looking at my body because I was scared, I closed my eyes and I wiggled my fingers and toes. I'm like, I can feel my fingers and toes. I can feel my fingers and toes. I'm okay. Like I thought maybe I'd be paralyzed or something, right? And that experience has carried me forward in so many things, because on the mountain, there's scary moments, like 1,000%. Before getting on stage to give a speech, there can be scary moments, right? Before having a tough conversation with a loved one, there can be scary moments. And so for me, when those moments come up, I close my eyes and I wiggle my fingers and toes. And I'm like, okay, I can feel my fingers and toes. Everything else is a story. Is that story putting me in a position of power, or is it taking my power away? And so when I stop for a second, connect to my body, shut down the narrative, and give myself that space to have a breath, then open my eyes and say, okay, what's one thing that I can do that moves me forward towards my goal? And it can be the tiniest thing, but that starts the momentum of getting you to where you want to go.
So what is the one thing, right? The one thing in the world today that people seems to undermine the power of one, but then want to have more and more and more. And your story telling people to focus on the one thing that we can do now. So how, why people out there keep, chasing the bigger numbers and undermine the power of small little steps that will get us to where we want to be?
Yeah. I think the big things are sexy and the small things are boring, right? But here's the thing. When you climb Mount Everest is 29,029 feet. Every one of those steps has to be chosen. You don't get to roll uphill, right? Like you have to choose that I'm climbing this mountain 29,029 times. Every step is a choice to climb this mountain and to move forward. And so I think a lot of us just forget, like, it's a constant decision to bring whatever we desire into life. And we have to make that choice consistently over and over and over again, because you're not going to roll uphill. And so whatever that thing is for you, if you can break it down into, okay, is this decision bringing me closer or farther from my goal? Closer or farther from my goal? And you just need to keep making decisions that are bringing you closer.
Wow. So in your family, was any role model for you to build that resilient inside of you, Jenn?
Yeah. I think it's our family, like my grandma and my grandpa and my parents. And I mean, the reality is like you can find resilience all around us all the time. Like anytime you go into a city and you see buildings and parks and houses and hotels, like that was somebody's vision. They had to bring that to life. That didn't just show up, right? Like think of how much work it is to build a building, how many people have to be involved, how many permits you need, there's so much effort coordinated into that if you just sit and observe the world around you, everything's resilience. Because everything is like somebody's energy that they committed to whatever it was and brought that thing to life. And so for me, I just get so much inspiration from my environment because I know how much effort it took for that part of the country to be developed, or for people to originally come there and settle, and now what they've been able to build on top of that. Like, that's exciting.
Yeah. I want to bring you to the moment that you hold the book and you read that there was a woman that already went to Mount Everest, right? And at that moment, you came up with the idea that could have been you. And that vision is starting to form. Okay, so bring us back into that moment. What thought came into your mind? What did you envision about in that situation, and what else that can come along the horizon, though?
Yeah. So, I was having a bad day. And I think we're always trying to bring ourselves back into balance. And so I was exhausted from homeschooling. I was exhausted from the news on the media. Like, everything felt like it was falling apart. And then I looked at this book and I saw this lady set a world record for doing something in the Alps. And I'm like, you know what? If I could set a world record, then I could bring us out of this despair and into a place of hope and opportunity. And so what would that look like, right? Like that, like I just felt like we needed momentum on the other side to bring us back to balance. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just know like that was a feeling that I had. I also had a feeling where I have children. My children don't like to read regular books. I wish they did. They didn't, but they love to read Guinness World Record books. Who had the longest fingernails, who grew the biggest pumpkin, how many hot dogs somebody ate in a minute. Like, that was exciting to them, right? So for me, I'm like, oh, it would be so fun to be in a book that my children love to read. Like, it just felt like a full circle moment. So like, it was just this combination of feelings, thoughts, experiences that came together. And it started as like silly concepts. And then it became real because I allowed it to. I leaned into it.
Not only that they read the Guinness book, but now they have their moms on the list also, right? And it's becoming something that they will be so proud to carry for the rest of their lives. And it becoming the seed of something that inspiring them to do for their own. Maybe one day they will each will have their own names on that world record book. Who knows, right, Jenn?
Right. Like, here's the thing, like, our kids are watching us. Yes. And so we need to demonstrate to them what a happy, fulfilled life looks like. Because when we demonstrate it to them, then they know what's possible for themselves. It might look different than mine because we're different people and have different skills and different experiences, but it's possible. It just has to show up for what's possible for them. So for me, it was very important to demonstrate, like, this got me excited. It got me like motivated. It required discipline and training and sacrifice and commitment. But when we combine all those things and achieve something, that feels so good. And I want them to have that feeling. And for them to have that feeling, they have to see how I have that feeling so that they can learn where they can find it for themselves.
Wow. And you push that comfort zone. That zone is too huge, too big, too high, too wide, and scary for a lot of people also. So when you set out that goal, beside the excitement, there must be something that's scared inside of you also. How did you push that away and starting to conquer the goal that you set out?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Big mountains take big teams. If you set a huge goal and you're trying to do it yourself, that's exhausting. And if you get to the summit, who do you get to celebrate with? Right? And so for me, I realized like I am not always going to feel motivated or determined or excited, and fear is going to show up. And that is a very hard thing to manage by yourself all the time. I think we're creatures that are created to co-create with each other. And so for me, like there was a point on Everest, I was terrified. I wasn't scared. I was terrified. We had to cross those ladders. And when you step on that ladder, It goes up in the air on the other side. It feels wobbly, like it collapses a little bit under your weight. I mean, it is scary. And I thought to myself, I'm like, there is no way I'm passing this ladder because I am not going to die doing this thing. Like, this is silly. Like, who does this, right? And so my whole team went across the ladder first. And my fear kept building. I'm like, okay, well, now all those people got across. So now the odds are against me. And the one person that's going to fall through is me because they made it and I didn't. And like all those stories that you tell that are keeping you stuck. And my team across the other side is like, come on, we got you. Like, we're good. And I realized the only thing that was going to get me across this ladder was taking a step. And so I just had to do the thing. And so my team and I chanted like step, step, step. And together, like, it crowded out any thought in my mind. It occupied all my senses. And I took a step and I took a step and I took a step. And when I got to the other side, we celebrated together because my nervous system was amped, right? Like, I was like, ah. And so I needed to calm that nervous system down with joy and power and like, congratulations, and let my body know like, hey, that's a feeling, but that feeling ended up being good for me and you're okay to continue. And so when you're doing these big, hard things and you're stretching out of your comfort zone, like, your team is the difference between whether you get to the top or not.
Yeah.
And telling them like what you needed, like, hey guys, I'm scared. That's not fun to admit, but it's true. And because I told them like, I'm scared, they knew how to help. And they're like, okay, well, here's what we need to do. Like, let's go. We're in this together. And I could use their courage and borrow it until it became my own.
Wow. Earlier you said that these 7-second summits, not a lot of people, when there only one man ever concur on them all, right? So this road, there's a book called The Road Less Traveled, and this road is not even traveled. Yes. So selecting the people on your team was critical, like you say. What criteria did you and the team put out together in selecting the team that can concur something that is impossible to the many?
Yeah. So every mountain is unique and every mountain needs different skills. And the reality is like, we had to look at who I was, right? I'm 5'5". I'm 115 pounds. This is what we need to do. And on some mountains, we just needed somebody that was bigger and stronger. Like, we couldn't put another person on the team that was the same size as me because together we wouldn't be able to get enough of the supplies up the mountain. So you really just look at who you are as a data point, not to judge, not to shame, not to guilt. We're like, here's who Jen is. Here's the obstacle ahead. Here's what we need to get to the top. And we would try to find that person that had the skills that I didn't. So together we could play off of each other and get the job done.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just the physical piece, right? It's the emotional piece. Like, do you have the personality that can pump up a team when the team's feeling bad? Right? Yeah. Like, you have to have all these things where it's a good match. Like, you think about, I've interviewed astronauts before too. They have a ton of people apply to become an astronaut. And when they build a team of astronauts, they need a doctor. They need a mechanical engineer. They need these things. But not only do they need those different characters, they need all those people to be able to get along. So it's very much, what do we need to get the job done? Who am I? And who do we hire to support me? Because that's what's going to build the best team.
Yeah. But even the best plan that might also come in with something that uncertainty happened along the way. Like when Charlie went to the moon, there were also technical issue happen on the Apollo mission 16, and also on the ground command center on the ground, you have an issue also. So on your journey, and was there any challenging that beyond the plan, and how did you guys overcome one of them?
Yes. I mean, 0 expeditions went as planned, right? There was always things that showed up that we had no idea were going to show up. And, you know, two of the mountains I needed to climb twice. Like we didn't get to summit it the first time because Mother Nature interfered with our plans and it wasn't safe to continue. So the reality is the real win is coming home alive. So the summit's wonderful, but you need to come home alive. Like that's the first and most important mission on all of it. And if that's not looking in your favor, you got to come back another time. Like the mountain will always be there. And so you have to make those decisions on what brings everybody home alive. You know, we've been in situations where I've lost a teammate to an avalanche or another one lost like had frostbite and had injury and things like that. That's part of the business of climbing mountains.
Wow. So out of the 7, which one was the most memorable for you, Jenn?
Oh, that's like saying who's my favorite child, right? Like every one of them had a very unique experience to it that I'm so grateful for. But I will say Antarctica is stunning because there's just nothing else in the world like it. So it's a really unique, special environment that you're just like, we get to be here. Like this is on our planet. Like this is a thing. This is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the 7-second summit's done. It seems like you are on the quest to finish the first the 7 summits, right? So what's next for you?
Yeah, so I did the seconds. I have 2 mountains left, and I'll have all the first mountains, and so then I'll have another record as like the only woman who's done all the first and the second mountains in the world. And then I don't know. I'm kind of allowing that to unfold. I mean, I never knew I was going to climb a mountain before 2019. So for me, I think something's going to show up and grab my heart, and I'm going to lean into that when it does. But I don't want to force it into an existence.
And every day now you are inspiring people to climb their own mountain. And climb the physical mountain go into stage, totally different skill set, different mental challenge. So how did you move from the physical mountain onto smaller stage with different kind of highs in terms of mental challenge, though?
Yeah, you know, all of it is a mental challenge at some level, right? We're all here to climb. We all have a mountain that's in front of us. Most of them are metaphorical. Some of them are physical, like the ones that I'm doing. And I think we feel alive when we're challenging our edges and becoming something more than we are at this moment. And so understanding that part of being alive is having success and having failure and having these fears. Like I did have a fear of heights. I didn't know I had a fear of heights when I got into this. But when it showed up, I didn't run away from it. I leaned into it and said, okay, well, we have to fix this because I can't have a fear of heights and do this record. And so I did exposure therapy and I leaned into it. And when I was scared, I would go one handhold higher and then come all the way down. And then when I'd go back up, I just try to go a little bit higher than the version of me did before. And I was always competing with myself instead of others. And I just allowed myself to let it look different every day. Some days I could climb higher than other days. Other days I couldn't. And it's just, but I was nice to myself. I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. This came up again today. Tomorrow will be better.
Wow. I select the 50 people for a project of wisdom to understand the wisdom, where is it coming from, and your story is very unique. So I'd like to ask you, how do you define wisdom in life, Jenn?
Wisdom to me is loving yourself in the process of becoming, right? It's very easy for us to judge ourselves and maybe be mean or harsh on what we're trying to do. And I think wisdom is having the human experience and being grateful for that and letting yourself be human, be imperfect, be messy, have emotion. let it be good one day and bad the next day, and loving yourself through that entire experience and saying like, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm so grateful. I'm just going to keep doing the best I can every day.
Wow. Wow. Positive things happen in your life because you spend time to reflect. And yes. And I pick up in this note in here when I had a conversation with you is that when you first started your professional career, you got to say no a lot, and you reflected and you said that if you want to be successful, you have to get used to people saying no to you and overcoming them, right? And then when you're successful, you want to be able to spend time with your children. So you had that reflective moment for yourself to plan and get yourself ready for that new goal. When you want to conquer the world, you're going to have an intentional lives also. You did the same. So in reflective moment, what did you do?
Yeah. I think when you find out something's not working for you, you have to pause and get curious about that and be like, what do I want this to look like? And how do I make it look like what I want it to look like? And then you have to embody that. You have to be like, okay, well, this is who I want to be. So what do I do today to become that person? And what happens is like, even when I go on climbs, for example, when I went to Everest, I have an on-ramp of going to Everest, right? Like I make sure the kids are good. I make sure the business is good. I get there. I give myself a day to get silent and still and just connect to who I am so that my ego doesn't get loud and try to have me do things that are not safe. And then I have the experience. And then when I come home, I like to reflect on what went well, what didn't, what did I learn, how do I become a better person, what are the stories that I want to tell about that experience so it puts me in a position of power instead of victim. And that allows me to integrate that story so it becomes a part of me into the next pursuit that I take. Right? Like everything builds off of everything and it's all an experience and you get to decide if that's a positive or a negative. And if there's a negative, we live in a world of like, you have both all the time, right?
Yeah.
And you need both. So you either get to look at the negative or look at the positive. And I always acknowledge that the negative exists, but I want to live in the positive. So it's my job to navigate that, find that, and use that as momentum for my next pursuit.
And the pursuit that you've been having is really, really big. And so a lot of people in your circle, they will be the one also because of love telling you not to pursue those. So how do you navigate those words, those voices, and continue to find strength to pursue the thing that you find convenient for you to do so?
Yeah. I think a lot of people provide their feedback from their perspective. They're not doing it to like there's also things that you need to know about yourself so that you put yourself in a position to have success. So for example, when I decided to climb Mount Everest, my mom was not my first call. There's no way my mom was going to be excited for me, right? Like she's like, no way. And so my first call was to a coach. And then that coach introduced me to people that climbed Everest. And then when I met those people for lunch or went out and trained with them, I'm like, okay, they're not that different than me. I can be just like them. And so I built my skills around that. And so that when I did go tell my mom, hey, I'm going to climb Everest, there was no space for her to knock that goal down because I was so solid in who I was and how I was going to do it. And I could remember when I first said, oh, do I want to climb Everest? That seems big and scary. And like, who does that? And I don't know anybody. And look at the movies and all that kind of stuff. Like, I needed to recognize that those were natural emotions my mom was going to have. She didn't get to go train with people that had climbed Everest. She didn't get to have lunch with people that climbed Everest and spilled ketchup on their shirt, right? Like they're human. If they spilled ketchup, I spill ketchup. We're the same, right? And so for me, I had built enough confidence that she could borrow my confidence and be like, okay, you're going to do this. You researched it. You positioned yourself to have success. You hired coaches. You do all these things that I don't even know. I have more confidence now because I'm borrowing it from you. And so I think a lot of times, like, people are going to say, like, how did she do that? Or why did she do that? Or that's silly, or you shouldn't. I shouldn't, because they're not trained, right? Like, they shouldn't, right? Of course you shouldn't. So they're just using me as a mirror for them. They're not using me as like telling me what to do. They're like explaining, man, I wouldn't do that based on my experience and what I know and what I understand. So you shouldn't. Well, you're not me. And so I respect that you have those opinions and feelings and thoughts, but I don't. And you just have to like stay strong enough in who you are and limit your exposure, right? Like, I couldn't talk to people that are going against me all day long. I might be like, okay, I'm going to go train with my Everest people that have done this for 6 hours to fill up my tank and to let me feel good, so that if I go to a soccer game and 5 moms telling me I'm crazy, well, I have enough in my tank to be like, okay, that's fine. You can think that, but I'm good, because I filled up my tank before I went into that environment, and I limit my exposure to those kind of comments.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. For the coach that you called, right, and your first call, what was that he or she was different that made you have the confidence, the trust you put on that person to make the call, and then, before you would call anyone else?
Yeah. So when I called that coach, I was actually hoping he'd be like, no, you're not ready. Like, no, you're not able to climb. I'm like, he's going to get me off the hook. He's going to be like, yeah, you're not good. Like, don't go. Totally. Right. But I called this coach, and he asked me a whole bunch of questions. And he asked, like, what, have you ever done anything hard? Well, I had done triathlons. Triathlons are pretty hard. So I had done endurance. Have you spent any time in cold? Yeah, I live in Park City. I've been cold on a ski hill before. 100, like, he asked a bunch of questions to kind of get to know me. And then he said, yeah, you're going to be fine. We can get you ready. Don't worry. And so if he would have said right away, yeah, you're good, I wouldn't have believed him, because he wouldn't have inquired to know more about me. But because when I called that coach and he asked questions, those questions gave me confidence, because he knew who I was. And he said, yes, we can get you ready.
And then on your way to success, you have a team, right? And then there's always saying that the value that we have is the value that the people that we spend most of the time with, the 5 people, right? So who are the people that Jenn is comfortably bring to her inner circle?
Yeah, well, it depends on what my goal is at the time, right? Like, if I'm going to try to climb a big mountain, my inner circle is more mountain heavy people. If I'm trying to network to build my business, I'm going to spend more time with amazing networkers and go navigate with them, right? Like, I've been to a bunch of masterminds recently because I've been speaking on stages, and that's put me into that circle and expanded that more. If I'm really thinking, oh, I have a teenager right now that I need to help navigate some of these things, my inner circle is filled with more parenting advice and podcasts that are giving me pointers there, or books that I'm reading. So you really have to think of, like, what am I trying to do? And then who are those people ahead of me? And how do I put them into my world so I can solve that problem? It's always a who, not a how. And so I'm always thinking of, like, who based on what I'm trying to do. And that's what my inner 5 look like.
And where did that idea come in from?
I mean, I think you're in great, like, right? You go to school and you have a teacher that's teaching you these things. You play soccer, you have a soccer coach that's teaching you how to play soccer. You do gymnastics, you have a gymnastics coach that's teaching you how to do a trick that you don't know how to do. And so because I was an athlete and a student from a very, very young age, that was natural for me. Okay, well, who's ahead of me that I can reach out to that can help me?
And wearing different hats is not easy for a lot of people also. So you wear the hat of an athlete person that can carry like world record goals, right? And then wear a different hat to be a wonderful mother, wear a different hat to be a wonderful entrepreneur, wear a different hat to be a perfect networker. So that ability, where did that come in from inside of you? How did that form?
I think when you have these different parts of your personality that get a space to shine, and you're very intentional about your time. Like, so for example, on Sundays, at least, I'm mapping out my calendar for the week. And so I know I have this many business meetings, I have this much training, and know I have this much time for my kids. When I know that at the beginning of the week, when it's time to do a kid activity, I'm 100% there. I am in the present moment because I already know the other things are taken care of because I know what my calendar looks like. So when I'm in a business meeting, I'm not worried about my kids. I know I'm going to have time with them. Like, it's okay. I just need to be right here doing this activity right now. And if I do this activity with 100% presence, I'm going to have success. And then when I go to my next activity and I'm 100% present, I'm going to have success. And how I get to be 100% present as I look at my calendar and I know everything's taken care of. So now I just have to go through the motions.
Wow. You mentioned success a lot in this conversation. So what does success look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's different in different categories, right? So when I'm hanging out with my kids, success is holding space for each other and seeing each other. If they have something that's bothering them, they feel comfortable to share it with me. If they have something that they did well at, they're celebrating with me. They want me to know about it. So for me, success with my kids is them knowing I'm there to hold all the good and all the bad. Wow. When I'm on stage and I'm delivering a keynote to an audience, success to me is when after that speech, I get an email and someone does something they didn't have the courage to do before. Or someone, like, they use what I said and take action on it. That's success. Like, because if they just listen, that doesn't help. But if they do something with what I shared, that's success. Beautiful. When I'm training to climb a mountain, if I stayed in my heart rate zone, if I did the time I was supposed to do, if I felt like every workout has a different goal. Some of them's to push, some of them's to build endurance, some of them's just to stretch. Like, I look at what is the intention of that workout, and then if I hit that intention, I'm successful.
Wow. 3 last questions for this conversation. All right.
Okay.
First one is we're gonna travel time into to when you were young, when you were little, okay? And if you can tell that little Jenn about the journey that she is going to be having in the future, what is the story that you want to tell the younger self of you, the little girl, Jenn?
Yeah. For me, I want to tell that little girl to have fun. I have a tendency to get serious and make things hard and just be this. And I want to tell her it's all going to work out. So just figure out how to giggle a little bit more or enjoy the journey a little bit more.
All righty. During this conversation, you mentioned the word acting several times. Okay. And my wife and I, we've been on the quest to help people to improve their ability to think. So we've been engaged to a lot of serious talk with psychologists, with a lot of researchers around the world to understand the science behind thinking. And you have a very different story, very beautiful story. We want to ask that very same question with you, Jenn. How have you been growing your ability to think over the years?
Yeah, for me, it's the stillness. It's the space to allow myself to look at the experiences I've had and extract the lessons from them. So sometimes that's a moving meditation of me walking and just being in my head while I'm moving. Sometimes that's breath work. Sometimes that's on a yoga mat. But that space to explore the experiences deeper has allowed me to think more.
Wow. Wow. A year is 365 days. Which day do you like most?
What day do I like? Today. I like today most because today's the day I'm promised. So how do I take advantage of today?
So Because the last question is, I want to go to future a little bit. Okay, so I'm assuming Christmas is the day that I want most, and I assuming that's going to be the day that you like more. Is that okay to assume that day? Okay.
That's perfect. Yes.
All right. So assuming Christmas 20 years from now, when your children is now having family, have their own family, and you guys having a big family all together, and Jenn is sharing one piece of advice, one piece of wisdom in life to all the children and grandchildren that you have. What is that one piece of advice you think 20 years from now you're going to share with them?
Yeah. I'm going to say being kind to yourself makes you stronger. Like, I think the world is hard sometimes. Experiences are hard. That's not a time to get hard on ourselves. That's a time to be kind to ourselves and support ourselves and cheerlead ourselves. Like, we need to be our biggest cheerleader, because experiences will come against us, and being kind actually makes us stronger instead of making us weaker.
Wow. So beautiful. Jenn, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I really love you. I hope one day that you're going to be coming to our country with your family, and that would be wonderful. You know, you have a new friend, new family here, right? And let's make it happen, okay?
I'm here for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You are on your net, and your net, you need to climb the big goals for you. I wish you enjoy it, be safe, and tell the world, you know, the next big thing that you are doing. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And please say, tell Michaela that I also appreciate her support to get this done also. Okay.
I will, definitely. Okay. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.